Hello. I'm coming to you from my studio, which is like a hot mess. There's like boxes, there's stuff everywhere. I am moving, so things are a little chaotic. We're kicking off this February reading vlog in here because I happen to just be in here actually. I was working in my Hobonichi, which is my planner journal, and I was doing some book journaling. This was a big goal for me, having upgraded to the A5 Hobonichi. I really wanted to try to do some like reading journal action in this because there are so many times when I read a book, I save a lot of quotes. It's usually quote-based things that just kind of like stick with me. I really want to have it somewhere where I can kind of flip through and read it or look back on it. So that's kind of what I was doing here, having just finished my first book for February, which was Lone Women. So I tried to do kind of like a Western vibe. And in the background here, I tried to do a little bit of like the landscape of what is on the cover of the book. Although I will say, when looking up this book on Amazon to find a link for this in my TBR video, I did see the paperback cover of this is way cooler, like way cooler. So just letting you know, that alternate cover is, I think, way more on point than this is. Not to say that I don't like this, but I will say that the paperback cover that I saw looked pretty cool. Let's go ahead and get right into it. You probably would have already seen in my October TBR, in my October TBR, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. You probably would have already seen in my February TBR video, I'll put a link down to that below, that I was participating in Kel Sweetie's readathon this month, which was a I Love Black horror readathon. So I have a number of books this month that are for that readathon. I will put links again to everything I mentioned down below. Lone Women was something that I picked up. This came across on my radar because I had seen it in a few other sort of book clubs. Actually, my local library, this was their book pick of the month for last month. So I thought that was kind of like kismet, like, okay, I definitely want to pick this up. I was intrigued because it is a horror Western written by Victor LaValle. I'm not entirely sure on the pronunciation of the last name. Don't come for me. I was looking at a number of different interviews where the author was present and he did not make any corrections. So I have seen both Laval and Laval. This was my first book from this author. He's written another very popular book called The Changeling, which I will definitely be reading next, and I think is actually a TV series at this point. This was a new to me author, and I was really excited about this because it was not only a horror, but it is a Western horror. And this has unlocked like just a whole new genre for me because I was really into just the backdrop of what takes place in this book, and again, it being a Western. So basically it is 1915, it is in Montana, and it kind of covers a bit of early American history. It's 1915, it's in Montana, and apparently this was a real thing that they gave basically plots of land to anyone, women included. You could be a single woman and take over a plot of land. And so long as you were able to like successfully homestead on it within a year, you could then own that land. This was a real thing. I had no idea this was even a thing. So our story follows Adeline, who has this mysterious trunk, a giant trunk that she drags along with her on her journey to Montana to get herself a plot of land and homestead by herself there out in the middle of nowhere. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think the less you know going into this, the better. This has great vibes. Great vibes, again, not only as the backdrop of it being, a Western, but also it has a number of really great themes that I think is just really, it's just really good. It's just really well written. Pick up this book if you are looking for sisterhood, motherhood, familial burden, I think is another big thing. Both burden by choice and inherited is also, I think, a big theme that's kind of addressed in this. And that theme of like a burden in which you carry, and I think that could be applied to a number of the characters in this book, whether it is a burden of motherhood. I know there's one particular mom in this particularly drawn to, just because I could relate, you know, just being a mom, like I understood that quite a bit. Family burden that is inherited, certain family burdens that are by choice. It's just, it explores a lot of things, and that is kind of what has stuck with me, is that those themes I keep sort of rethinking in my mind and sort of unpacking. I'm literally unpacking the trunk that she drags around in my mind even after finishing this book. So overall, a great read, and I'm excited because it has unlocked not only a new genre of me wanting to explore kind of more Western books like this, but also a new to me author that I really, really enjoyed. I loved his writing style. He sets the scene just so well. The tone is perfect where it needs to be, if that makes any sense. It's funny when it's funny. It's serious when it's not. It's beautiful. It's dreamy at times. Just beautiful writing that I really, really loved. And I definitely want to read more from this author and kind of go down the rabbit hole of his other work because I genuinely enjoyed this book. That said, I did end up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. It lost a star for me because the middle is a little bit slower, and it sort of changes perspectives. That's a little bit jarring. There's basically 3 parts in this book. Part 1, you are strictly following Adelaide, who is the main character. And then part 2, all of a sudden you start to see other perspectives in part 2, and it's a little jarring because I was so enamored and sucked into Adelaide's story that to then suddenly like pivot to other ones, it kind of threw me off a little bit. It all pays off in the end, and I understand why the author did it, but it was like a speed bump, and then I felt like it stalled out a little bit. But there was a lot of setting up and a lot of other character things that needed to happen in that part 2 to then get us to the finale of part 3. I do keep thinking about this book, and I think that there's a lot to unpack, and a lot of things have stuck with me after the fact. So that is our first read for February. I've already journaled it, which is very exciting. Some other reads that I am kind of in the midst of. I am still reading Love Redesigned. I'm like, I think at the halfway point on that still, by Lauren Asher. That's kind of just like my little side thing going on right now. But I also got heavily distracted by Ali Hazelwood's new book, Bride. I had this on my radar. This was something that I had kind of bookmarked as like, do I want to pre-order this? Do I want to get this? Because it just came out last week. And I've been hearing mixed things about it. I have never read an Ali Hazelwood book. I know typically she does the sort of like STEM romance books. I've never read anything from her. I wasn't particularly interested in those other sort of, again, STEM romance books, but maybe I should go back and read them because people seem to really love them. The concept behind this book sucked me right in. It's a paranormal romance between a vampire and a werewolf. I'm not gonna say no to that, and I'm not gonna lie, I started reading it yesterday and I'm already 100 pages in. It has got a significant chokehold on me, and I'm blowing through it as fast as I can. So I'm trying to crank through this so that I can pass it along to my friend to read, and so that I can try to continue getting back to, refocus to the other books that are in my February TBR. This is kind of the main one that I'm reading now. Again, I pivoted big time. This was not, I did not plan on reading this month, but here we are. Real quick, while I have you here as well, I'm gonna open up my book of the month. Hashtag not sponsored. I wish it was. I actually haven't opened book of the month since November. I paid for like a year, but I've been skipping every month. There hasn't been a title that has particularly grabbed me. So literally the last one you saw me open in November was the last book of the month book that I got. So it's been a couple of months since I have actually picked one out. They had one title in particular that I was very intrigued by, so I thought I would give it a whirl. Cute bookmark. Was it something I read? That's very cute. They did send me a set of these reaction pins because apparently one of you guys joined book of the month as well off of my referral link. So thank you very much. There is a referral link down below. Again, this is not sponsored, but I think you get your first book for like $5 or something like that. I don't know, give it a whirl. I got roped in off of somebody else's referral link because I couldn't say no to like a $5.99 book. And here we are months later and I'm fully sucked in. The pick that I went for was Heartless Hunter. This was, I believe, a young adult fantasy. The Crimson Moth Book 1 by Kristen Ciccarelli. Kristen Ciccarelli, I'm pretty sure is how you pronounce that. Beautiful book. I'm not gonna lie, I really liked the cover. And I think I read one little blurb and I got sucked in. Enemies to lovers doesn't get more high stakes than a witch and a witch hunter falling in love. Sign me up. So here we go. Here we go. I don't know when I'm gonna get to this. It just sounded like a good time, so I picked it up. Okay, anything else to report? I don't believe at this moment, other than just continuing to read Bride and anything else on my February TBR, which we'll see what attracts my attention the most. I'm like a moth, just fluttering around and getting distracted by other bright, shiny things. So that's where we're at. Hello. Well. We did it, guys. The first 5-star read of 2024. I have so much to say, and yet, no, I have a lot to say. Okay, I have a lot to say about this book. This book is a grand old time. This is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. It is a new release. It just came out last week. I got roped in. It is just a good time. I am new to Ali Hazelwood. I have never read any of her other books. After reading this and getting to know her writing style, it is so clever. It's funny, it's sweet, it's charming, it's believable. It's totally a thing in romance books where the dialogue is super cringe, just really, really cringe, and it's just kind of comes with the territory. There is no cringy dialogue in this book at all. And I think that that's just the author's style. Like, she's just a lot of fun and very smart and very clever. It's just a witty good time. It's just a good time, okay? Technically, this is like a fantasy romance, I guess. Like, I would say it's very fantasy light. It happens in a modern time. There's vampires, there's werewolves, there's humans. They exist, they know each other exist. But very, very little world building, if at all, but that's not a problem. It's very easy to settle into things. It's all very believable. Like, yep, I'm on board. I believe that there are vampires and werewolves and they have political, you know, strife, and the things that they do biologically are different. I believed it. I totally believed it. And again, just because it was just fun. It just was just fun. It's just so fun. It's so fun. I will say it is spicy. It is a spicy meatball. So if you are not into spice, think twice on this one. A lot of spice. It just was a good time. I don't know how else to say this other than it is a really good time. I flew through this book so fast, which is really funny because I posted this on Instagram and a number of people had replied like, oh my God, I read it so fast. I picked it up and binged it. I know someone had like responded right away like, oh my God, I read that in a day. It was so good. And I get why. It's very, very binge worthy, very easy to fall in and get sucked in, and wow. My mind was blown by just how much fun this was. I love reading romance books like this because of the escapism, and that is definitely the case here. I read this in about 3.5 days, so it was quick. It was a quick turnaround, and this was the first time too where, other than maybe Iron Flame, where I went out and got a new release and read it like right away. And who knew, I now need to go read other Ali Hazelwood books because I did not see it coming. This for me is 5 out of 5 stars. Much like I said at the start, my first 5-star read of 2024. This is on par for me with like Icebreaker. Icebreaker was a 5-star read for me as well because it was just so fun. It's fun, it's spicy, it's a playful romp, and a really great way to just escape reality and fall in love with a werewolf and vampire relationship. And it is a grand old time. Really, really loved this book. Okay, what am I currently reading? Let's talk about the priority reads at this current moment. I need to go take Lone Women back to my library and take the tabs out of it. Speaking of Icebreaker, I am now moving on to Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This was in my TBR pile for the month. This is a buddy read that I'm doing with my bestie Allie, hence why there is tabs in it. I just only started this, so we'll see. Tip of the iceberg on this one. I am reading this month because this author has another book coming out this June that I've pre-ordered, and they're interconnected standalones, so I do like reading them in order because they do kind of pick up where things left off, and that is definitely the case with this one. It literally picks up with all of the characters from Icebreaker, kind of where we left off in Icebreaker, the same locations, which I was kind of surprised by. I mean, I knew they're interconnected standalones, but I didn't realize like it literally does pick up kind of where Icebreaker left off, but from different characters' perspectives, obviously. I've only just started this one. Again, my romance buddy read for the month. I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes. The other book from my February TBR pile that I'm also going to start reading probably this weekend is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. This was one of my book picks as part of a I Love Black Horror readathon. I've talked about all this in my February TBR video, so I refer you to that. But this is the second book that I kind of want to get going on as well because it is pretty big. It's a lot bigger than I had anticipated. And I'm also just really excited to dive in. So I've got a fun little duo going on here of Wildfire and Legendborn. Very opposing genres here, but I'm looking forward to getting started with this one as well. So that's kind of the main two books on the docket currently. As per usual, I also have Love Redesigned I'm still reading. That's, you know, I'll pick this up whenever. That's the thing that I like about Lauren Asher books. They're very easy to pick up, put down, whatever. So even though I've made some pretty decent progress on this one, I'm still kind of have it on my back burner pile here while I prioritize my other two that I really wanted to read this month. So yeah, Lauren Asher books are great to just have like as my little side piece, I guess, because again, they're so easy to put down and pick back up again. I know one of the Dreamland Billionaire books, I started it and put it down for like 4 weeks or something like that, and then picked it up and finished it in like 4 days. Like, they're very easy books to read, so that's kind of been put on a pause for right now. Same with my Throne of Glass Assassin's Blade. I've actually shelved that book for right now because I am more interested in these other ones that I have going on currently, so that's where I'm at with that. Anyhow, let's continue on. I'm excited to start this one. I'm really excited. And that's what's been going on. Okay. Oh my gosh. Wow. The bun is perky today. Hello. I am popping in now for a reading update because it is now the 2nd of March. So I want to wrap up February because I'm trying to do like these reading vlogs monthly. So I want to wrap up my February reading vlog. Normally I would have had some cute clips of me reading things, me doing in my planner journal. But if you can't tell behind me, and just in general from other videos you guys will be seeing soon, I'm in the middle of moving. So it's been a little chaotic trying to be productive and vlogging while moving because I'm being productive packing boxes. It's been a little bit more challenging to kind of document things. I also think I've had a slower reading month overall because of moving. I ended up finishing 4 books this month in February, so let's get into it. As I mentioned before, I'm checking my list. As I already said, I've read Lone Women and Bride, both great reads for the month. Lone Women being a 4-star, Bride being a 5-star read for me. And the hits kind of kept on coming here. It ended up being kind of a heavy romance reading month for me, even though I had sort of some other genres sprinkled in. I think it was because A, it was February and I really wanted to lean into romance books, and B, romance books are the easiest things to read because I'm just, especially when you have a lot of stuff going on and like I'm frazzled and like, I know, I use reading as a bit of escapism. So it's like, rather than putting on TV or scrolling on my phone, I'd rather pick up like, you know, a fun romance book instead. So I feel like I was doing that a lot this month because I just have so much going on and they're easier for me to read. Like, I just think as February went on, I didn't have like the mental power, like the brain power to like be reading a heavy fantasy book. I didn't want to be like, I don't know, I just was keeping it easy on my brain here. I did want to give you a quick update. As you can tell, I have a head cold. Perfect timing. Love that I got a cold as we're moving, but it is what it is. So sorry if I sound bad, but I did want to just recap the remaining 2 books that I read and kind of give you an update of what I'm currently reading. First up, I did finish Wildfire, which I know was one of the last ones that I had updated you on previously. This ended up being a 3-star read for me. It was okay. Not amazing, not terrible. Again, a fun, easy romance read from Hannah Grace, who is the same author as Icebreaker. I thought Icebreaker was significantly better than this, but it was still entertaining. I just don't know if this particular trope is, I'm not gonna say what the trope is. If you wanna know what it is, read the description on the back, but I don't wanna spoil anything, but I just think the particular trope that's in this is not for me. It felt a little insta-lovey. I don't know, just the tropes weren't there for me. Still cute, still fun, you know, not something I'm going to be like rereading anytime soon. I think Icebreaker is significantly better. I will say though, the characters, these are all like interconnected standalones, and this author has a 3rd book coming out this summer, which I've already pre-ordered. The characters are very much intertwined, so I do think it helps if you want to like pick this book up. It hits a little better and it makes more sense if you do read Icebreaker first. So even though they're interconnected standalones, I do recommend reading them in order because there's kind of a core group of guys and it's easier to kind of follow along. So 3 stars for me on Wildfire. I look forward to seeing the 3rd installment of this series and see where that takes us. Quick battery change and we're back. If you read, oh my God, you guys, I'm losing it. If you saw my February TBR video here on YouTube, then you would have seen that I stuck this little bad boy into my pile, Flawless by Elsie Silver. This is from the Chestnut Spring series. Everyone talks about this series. Everybody talks about it. It's Canadian cowboy romance. I'm not gonna get into it because everybody talks about this book, okay? Everyone talks about these books on TikTok and on YouTube. This ended up being a buddy read for my friend and I, Allie, which we read this together, so we rolled right into this. And again, it just like my brain just wanted easy romance books this month, so that's what I ended up kind of picking up. This was gonna be like my icing on the cake sort of book when it comes to my TBR. I wasn't sure if I was actually gonna get to it this month, but let me tell ya, I blew through it. Rapid fire. I finished this book in about 2 days, and I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's a 5-star read. It's just a good time. It's just a good time. In comparison to like the Maple Hills series, this is like your fratty, party, young 20-somethings, you know, well, they're like 20, 21. They're like 21-year-olds, like, you know, very fratty, having a good time, cutesy kind of thing. This was like a nice step up from that because, you know, they're not like college students, which was nice. But yeah, I'm not gonna get into the summary of this book because again, everyone talks about this and it's all over the place. It just was perfect. Like the story moved along quickly. I loved the characters. I loved the setting. Chestnut Springs being sort of like a small town thing where our main character, well, our male main character, Rhett is. He's a bull rider. He's dealing with, you know, being on the verge of retirement and still having the passion for it, not kind of wanting to give it up. Meanwhile, our female lead character, Summer, she ends up getting sort of like assigned to Rhett as like a babysitter to help repair his sort of like, you know, PR image, because he's, you know, Rhett is like our bad boy bull rider. It's a good time. This book is a good time. If you like easy to read, fun, spicy romance, and I will say a note on the spice. The spice is excellent. I think Elsie Silver spice might be my new favorite spice. How many times can I say spice? Perfectly paced. You know, you kind of have to work for it a little bit, which is nice. It didn't just happen right off the bat, which was kind of refreshing from this. So it was like it felt a little bit like a slow burn, but like with a really nice payoff. It just was really fun. It was really fun, and there was lots of cute moments in this. Obviously, I did tab it. There was some really cute quotes and moments between our two characters. I loved Rhett as our main character. Probably one of my favorite book boys that I have read. Just some of his one-liners and how he sort of treated her. There's a lot of caretaking that happens in this book as well. I just really, it is worth the hype. It is worth the hype. As soon as I finished this, I literally was like a little sad that it was over and immediately bought book 2. So book 2 is on its way. I'm gonna be diving into that pretty quick. Needless to say, Flawless by Elsie Silver is a 5-star read for me. Absolutely love this. I look forward to probably binging the rest of this series because again, I read this in 2 days it was that good, that entertaining. So yeah, that was my 4 books that I read for this month. I did want to, before I let you go, wanted to give you an update of what it is that I'm currently reading. I have made some significant progress in Love Redesigned. I am like 75% through on this. It's so big. I'm like, why are these romance, why are they so big? This has been enjoyable for me so far, but I feel like it's trending at a 3-star for me. Again, I still have to finish it. I have about 25% left of the book here, but I'd say this is trending into a 3-star direction. I just enjoyed, especially coming off this, I enjoyed this so much more than I am this. It's cute. It's scratching my wanna read romance itch that I'm currently in. Apparently I'm in my romance era right now. I don't know. I blame February, okay? So it's okay. It's okay. It's not, I don't know. But I'm far enough along on this. I should be finishing this pretty soon, which will be nice because this is a thick romance book and it doesn't need to be that big. Another major update is with Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I had mentioned that I had this as a library book. I hit 100 pages, loved it so much, I returned my library book and went and bought a physical copy because I wanted to annotate it because there was just a lot of stuff that I wanted to highlight and note and tab. And that's kind of my rule of thumb, is that I have to get to 100 pages before I decide whether I'm gonna mark in my copy or whether I'm gonna return my library book and go get a physical copy. But I was enjoying this enough that I really wanted to have my own copy to annotate, and that is exactly what I did. So I took my tabs out of my library book and re-tabbed my own copy and then have even begun annotating it. I am annotating it, which is a lot of fun. It goes without saying, I still have a long ways to go in this book, but the first 100 pages, really, really enjoying it. It's giving Ninth House vibes without the intensity of Ninth House. If you have read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, it's a very intense book. There's a lot of trigger warnings and it's quite graphic. This does not have that, obviously, because it's YA, but it has that sort of vibe. It's giving dark academia, Ninth House light kind of vibes, and I'm here for it. Really loving our main character in this as she sort of discovers a secret society at her college campus. There's a lot more to it going on. I'm really not probably giving the blurb of the book justice here. It is a little info dumpy. It's a little info dumpy, but I'm hoping that it's just because I'm still at the beginning. We're still kind of doing some world building here, that it will get to a place where it's not so info dumpy. But I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And again, I really love the main character in this book a lot. Her name's Bree. I'm really, really liking Bree in this a lot. And this is also a book too. It's YA. I know, like, as an adult, I'm enjoying it, but I know my younger self, like if my teenage self read this book, I would have loved it. I would have loved it. So I'm excited to really put my time and focus into this as we move into March here. That's definitely gonna be in my March pile, Legendborn, and then hopefully finishing Love Redesigned. And then we'll see. I haven't really put much of a March TBR together otherwise. I have sort of like a pile of books off to the side because I'm moving, of like, don't pack this small pile in case I want to read something out of here randomly. So I have like a mood reading sort of pile, but not like a hard and fast TBR. With all that said, I'm gonna wrap up this video here. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you're reading down below. I think we need some like romance emojis in the comments, because that is what I got sucked into this month. Even though I was also participating in a readathon, I only got one book done, actually read off that list, but I did get introduced to this one from my readathon, so it still ended up being a really fun thing to participate in. But in the end, it ended up being a 75% of my reading was romance books. So if you made it this far, I think we need to put some romance emojis down there, maybe some little hearts, a heart in your favorite color perhaps. I know we all have like a heart color that we like to use, maybe something like that in the comments. It's been really fun to see what emojis you guys post when I like prompt you like this. Maybe a pepper, spicy pepper, a flame, a heart, I don't know. You surprise me down below. Anywho, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe if you're new here, all the YouTube things. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.